Hello and welcome to the show. For today's rally car build, I have got a Nissan Skyline, the R32. Now, Skylines do have a pretty good track record when it comes to my car build series. Certainly the rally car builds of Horizon 2, an R34 Skyline, went very, very quick around the circuit. So, and also on the autocross builds, we had some pretty decent Skylines as well. So certainly we could be seeing an impressive time. I don't know whether it's going to be enough to challenge the Hemi Cuda. I mean, the Hemi Cuda has set the benchmark so stupendously high. But then I've thought that about cars before, and things have appeared and completely obliterated them. So we shall see, really. Right, tyres, the first thing we're going to be wanting, off-road compound tyres on here. Of course, we don't have to worry about drivetrain swaps because we are already all-wheel drive. 285s all round as well. Hopefully we should be getting some nice grip from this car. Hopefully it'll turn better than the bloody aerial Nomad. We shall get the Forza Aero parts on the vehicle. Anything we can help with turning is a good thing. I mean, the only downside of the aero parts, of course, is the extra drag is going to reduce our top speed. Well, it's not going to be a problem on the course that we are running. We are going to, I think, want weight reduction on this car. It's not too heavy to begin with, but I'll take it down to £2,700. We're probably also going to want things like a roll cage and race anti-roll bars. It's worth putting, especially in Horizon 3, when I'm building the cars to S1 class, you get a lot of PI to play with, and I think it's very much worth putting all of them parts on. Engine-wise, I think we'd probably be alright keeping the standard one. The only other options is a 6.2-litre V8. Slightly lighter, amusingly, but I think we will... Oh, I will keep the standard engine if we can get it to the top of S1, and it does look like we could with this without too much in the way of trouble. Yeah, indeed we can, so... that is fine. We will, rather than go too crazy with all those parts immediately, I will also put these bits on here. The kind of like gearbox bits and pieces don't seem to add quite as much PI as we've seen in Forza 6. Some cars you get away with them adding practically nothing. This one is a little bit more, but yeah, I think it's all worth having on here. Right, so what are we doing power-wise? Only 513. I say only 513. This is generally ended up being quite a high-powered series. Inadvertently, I completely didn't mean it to be, but we are getting quite a lot of power out of these cars. We've actually come to a really awkward level, because I want to get the turbos on, but it does mean we're going to have to take off some other bits and pieces. That can go off, and so can that. That'll bring us down to the top of S1 class, and we don't have to worry about any heavy parts. We'll see. No, we can't even sneak on a flywheel. 589 horsepower, 413 torque. Pretty good. Pretty good. It's not the lightest car here, but I think that could help the Skyline. £2,700 could be quite a nice sort of area to be in terms of weight. It hopefully will keep us, yeah, not too bouncy across some of the jumps, but equally not like the Rolls-Royce where there was just so much momentum going on. Yeah, I'm thinking this is quite a promising vehicle. It is to the reservoir trail for the R32 Skyline, as I'm going to get 3 runs through this course in an attempt to knock the Plymouth Hemi Cuda off the top of the table. 2:32.7 is the target time to aim for. I'll see what I can do with this Skyline. Certainly we don't quite have the ludicrous acceleration of the aerial. However, we should be a damn sight. Now look at that, flat out through turn 1, and we're not being fired to the left-hand side through the bridge as well. That's nice. That's very nice indeed. In fact, actually, this is handling incredibly well on this tarmac section. Ooh, no, brakes are good as well. I thought I'd gone too late on the brakes there, but that is not the case whatsoever. things are looking promising with the Skyline now. Be brave across the bridge. Indeed, we can be. I chucked it down a little too far. You kind of want to just get the wheel in the water to drag you around, but I got the full car in it. That didn't quite work to my advantage. We're out a little bit wide. Oh, this is so lovely and controlled after some of the last vehicles that I've driven around here. It could really be pushed at a lot of speed. I mean, we are almost flat out the whole way through there. Across the jump, we're going to get a lot of airtime. That's going towards one of the indestructible trees. Yeah, I could do with a little bit better positioning through some of these corners. Oh, I can carry a lot of speed as well through there, which is lovely. Now, up towards the jump we go. I'm not sure we're quite going to have the ultimate acceleration, the likes that the Plymouth had. Face it, the Plymouth had almost 900 horsepower going on in it, and that is a lot of power, especially when you've got, these steep hills to be dealing with and so on. And it's not just the power either in the Cuda, also all of the torque that came with the V10 engine is a lot. And this will not have that. Where this is going to have to try and make up its time is through the corners, and certainly it does feel good through these turns. How do we do with the water? Ooh, not a massive fan. Not a massive fan of the water. I'm surprised by that. Well, I say I'm surprised by that. There are cars that I think would do a lot worse than this through the water. It really did not like going through that section. Could have just been the line I took. Maybe next time around we will be better. I already feel a lot more confident throwing this through here, although as I say that, we get a big bounce and I'm about to be in a world of trouble if I'm not careful here. Yep, world of trouble is incoming. Oh, I had to have a big lift. I saw I was out of position. I knew things were going wrong, so I had to be quite slow through there. Yeah, I got bounced awkwardly at an early part of that. Okay, first run, not spectacularly fast. A couple of errors from me in all of that, but a solid benchmark. We didn't end up in the trees at least, so that is a bonus. So it is on to our second run with the Skyline. There is definitely some time to be found. I would like to get a bit more speed out of the car. We've definitely got the cornering ability, which is lovely. It is nice to have a car that turns as well as this. I do fear we might be a little bit underpowered, and the cornering ability might not be enough to make up for that. But we shall see. If I can be braver through the corners and get away with a little bit more sort of quarter speed, then maybe we can. Maybe we can indeed. It's so nice having such good brakes into turn one here. So we are going to be flat out of course onto the bridge. No problem. Get the car turned. Try to maintain as much speed as possible through these corners. There's a lot of flat out or almost flat out turns around here that if we can get right, there is time to be made up. That was fairly quick through that section. Now we should hopefully be flat out the whole way down here. Oh, I had to have a little bit of a lift, a little bit of a correction halfway through that turn. If we can get that right, that would be nice. So we did not get it right this time around, although we will. It's really nice to drive through that section. The way the car changes direction is incredible, but we're just not getting going fast enough, I think. And that was fairly poor, in fact, over the jump. We're not getting the distance on the jumps, which suggests to me we're simply not carrying the speed into that section, despite being flat out relatively easy through a lot of these corners. It's just not carrying the same speed that some of the other vehicles have managed to do here. Again, carrying plenty of speed over the crest. Now, into the watery turn. I may have turned in a little bit too soon. Wow, this car does not go through that water well. This might be one of the worst cars in terms of getting through the water. It surprised me because it has a little bit higher ride height than quite a few other vehicles. Of course, we have got it on rally suspension. I've missed the checkpoint. Hiss! We were. Oh, bugger! I've started rewinding it now. I was getting bounced around a little bit on the way into there, I think, and I was just out of whack through that. Yeah, I have to lift a little bit more. Interesting. interesting indeed with this car. I'm going to be a little bit skew whiff across the jump. Certainly, it is a great fun car to drive. There is a lot of grip through these corners, and you really can throw the vehicle around. But I'm thinking it might be just lacking that power around the course, lacking the acceleration in critical areas. Yeah, we've still got a fair amount of time to make up if we want to challenge the front runners. Maybe I can do a mega final run. So, a second is the amount of time I'm looking to possibly make up on this final run. That put the Skyline right with the Subaru SVX, the Ford Pursuit Ute, and that might just be doable. The 4.5 seconds needed to challenge the Plymouth, probably not quite so much, but I'll see what I can do. Certainly, there is huge amounts of grip in this Skyline. I do really like driving this car. It is great fun, and it's probably the easiest of all of the cars I've driven here to get through the course. You really can carry incredible corner speed with this vehicle. You can be flat out in places where other cars simply can't. The problem is, we can't quite get accelerated in the same way that other vehicles can. So while we are flat out through these turns, we aren't really carrying the same speed potentially as some of the other vehicles. Really try. I'm flat out through there. We'll be flat out through the next two corners as well, unless we get an unfortunate moment of oversteer. We did get a little bit of oversteer. Still going to be flat out though through that section, all the way up towards this jump. We soar through the air. We do actually land quite nicely. We are going to get on the brakes. I'm not going to make the same mistake I've made many a time through that section. We ran a tad wide on the outside, but that's okay. We don't end up in the concrete. Still landing that a little bit short and punching through the water. Not quite the Skyline's strong suit. Small bit of oversteer once more. Nothing major though from the car. I think it also isn't helping is we are at a really awkward point in the rev range for some of these corners. It's not quite, yeah, we kind of want to be in third gear and then fourth gear a lot. So there's a lot of changing gear going on. Neither of them is quite ideally suited for this course. That was nice though through that water section. I had to take a little, I don't have an option with this car. It really doesn't like the water there, so I have to take a wider line to really try and keep the car out of it. Now we come through this bumpy section down towards the final couple of corners. Big airtime is coming up once and a second time. Get down, nicely landed. Try and carry as much speed as I dare through these final couple of corners, and it is nicely around the final turn. Run towards the line. They found some time, that one. We found some time indeed. A little bit more than I was expecting, in fact. 235.3 from the Skyline. We did actually have a very, very good final sector. I think that's where I made up that time over the previous run. We got it really nicely down that bumpy section. The final two corners were absolutely spot on as well. We didn't get a big slide through the final turn like quite a lot of cars tend to do there. 235.3 will put the Skyline into second place. It displaces the crazy, crazy Ferrari. To be fair, that the Ferrari setting that faster time is just down to its acceleration. It's horrible through the corners. The Skyline here is so much nicer to drive. It is a glorious, glorious car to drive indeed. 0.7 of a second clear of the Subaru SVX, about a second clear of the Ford Pursuit Ute. However, we are still talking 2.5 seconds down on that Plymouth Hemi Cuda. That Plymouth's time is mighty around this course. The Skyline is good. The Skyline is very good, and of all the cars that I've built, I would probably say is the easiest car to drive, a car that I would recommend to a less experienced driver, because you don't fight the car through the course. It is, yeah, lovely, lovely and controlled around here. However, can't beat the Hemi Cuda. Anyway, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.